I tied the last balloon to the back of the dining chair, took a step back, and stared at the tiny cake I'd baked that morning. Chocolate, just like Nova liked it. 8 candles stood crooked on top, one flickering slightly from the breeze coming through the window I forgot to shut. The house was silent except for the faint tick of the wall clock and Nova humming to herself as she arranged her stuffed animals around the table. My phone sat face up on the counter, untouched. No missed calls. No messages. Just the blinking notification light, reminding me nothing had come. Again. They never forget Carter's birthday, I told myself, rearranging the plastic forks for the 3rd time. Maybe they're just busy. Nova's little voice broke the silence. Did Grandma lose our address again? She asked, wide-eyed. I smiled, the kind you give when you're trying not to break. She might have, baby. We'll remind her next time. Nova accepted that answer far too easily. You teach people how to treat you, even when they're family. I'd heard someone say that once, maybe on a podcast while driving to work. It's stuck with me now. As Nova ran to grab her paper crown, I leaned against the counter, blinking fast. Just a forgotten birthday, right? One of many. But it wasn't just one. It had been like this for years. My wedding, Mom said they couldn't make the trip on short notice. But they'd gone to Taryn and Cole's vow renewal just a month later. Christmas mornings where the box from them always arrived late, or not at all. Phone calls that felt like obligations. Cole's wife once told me, "You always make things too emotional, Dahlia." Like caring was a flaw. Like noticing being left out was a burden on them. I used to believe we were just a distant family. But lately, I'd started wondering if the distance was by design. Maybe this is how being erased feels, I thought. Slow, polite, invisible. Nova clapped her hands. Let's light the candles. So we did. I held her little hand steady as she blew them out, then snapped a short video on my phone, her beaming, surrounded by teddy bears. I sent it to the family group chat. And waited. The hours dragged. Dinner came and went. Still silence. Later that evening, curled on the couch with Nova asleep beside me, I scrolled aimlessly through my phone. That's when I saw it. Cole had posted photos, big banners, balloons, a magician, cake taller than Nova. Family first. Always. I stared at that caption. Did they even remember Nova was born on the same day as Carter? No one replied to the video. No heart emoji. No happy birthday, sweet girl. Nothing. I didn't cry. Not anymore. I poured a glass of wine, stepped out onto the porch. The night air was cool. My mind even cooler. I think I finally get it, I whispered. This wasn't an oversight. This was a pattern. My grandfather used to say, when people stop seeing you, build something they can't ignore. Maybe that's what I'd do. People always mistook my silence for weakness. But I wasn't weak. I was calculating. I'd spent years not talking about my little design firm, thinking modesty meant something. Maybe it was time to stop shrinking to fit their comfort. I looked at Nova through the window, curled up, clutching her favorite bear, a paper crown slipping over one eye. You'll never have to beg for love the way I did, I told her. Inside, the candles were still in the cake, waxy and slumped. I stood, walked in, and began clearing the table. One plate at a time. Then the phone buzzed. A message. From my mother. We'll talk later. Busy day with Cole's family. Just that. I looked at the screen, then back at the table. Nova's untouched candles. No one to remember her day. I leaned down, blew out each candle slowly, one by one, and said quietly to myself, so only I could hear it, "Later, I'll make sure they remember us." The morning sun poured through the blinds as I sat at the kitchen table, swirling cereal in Nova's bowl more than eating it. My phone was still on silent, but I kept checking it anyway, just in case. A late birthday text, maybe. Someone remembering, even as an afterthought. Nothing. I opened Instagram out of habit. The first post hit me like a slap. Taryn, bright smile, arm wrapped around Cole. Carter in front of them, hands messy with cake, a banner stretched behind, family first, celebrating our boy's big day. I froze. The timestamp was the same as Nova's birthday. Dozens of comments already, such a beautiful family. You guys always go all out. Love the matching outfits. Nova, still in her pajamas, looked up from her coloring book. Mom, why are we never in those pictures? I didn't have a good answer. Because they only post what looks good, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. But the truth clawed at the inside of my chest. When people erase you quietly enough, the world starts believing you were never there to begin with. I dropped Nova off at school and drove straight to the office. My desk was neat. My calendar full. Clients booked. On paper, I had it together. But my hands trembled slightly as I unlocked the computer. Reese noticed right away. She always did. "You're somewhere else this morning," she said, sliding her coffee onto the desk next to mine. I hesitated, then blurted it out. "You ever realize the people you die for wouldn't even show up for cake?" She leaned back, sighed. "That sounds like something Maya Angelou would have written." "She did," I said quietly. "Never make someone a priority when all you are to them is an option." Reese didn't press. She just handed me a file and patted my shoulder. Professional on the outside, invisible on the inside. That had become my reality. Around noon, I got an email. From a family friend. Probably meant for someone else. Subject, final party details, don't share with Dahlia. My breath caught in my throat. I opened the thread. Taryn's message was right there. She's always too emotional. Let's not make her uncomfortable again. So it wasn't an accident. Not a slip. They planned the whole thing. Left me out on purpose. I stared at the screen. Not sad. Not even shocked. Just snapped. Like something inside me gave way. All the years I told myself, they mean well, or they're just distracted. Nova's little voice echoed in my head, did Grandma lose my address again? No, baby. She didn't. That night, I picked Nova up after school and took her out for ice cream. Chocolate swirl, rainbow sprinkles. We sat on the hood of my car and watched the sunset in silence. She licked her cone slowly, then said, "When people forget me, I just pretend I'm invisible. It hurts less." I turned toward her, heart pounding. That's what I'd taught her, without ever meaning to. My silence had become her strategy. My acceptance, her blueprint. I cupped her face. "You're not invisible. You're the best part of my life." She smiled, a little unsure. Back home, after she fell asleep, I sat on the couch and stared into the dark. My grandfather's voice echoed again. Build something they can't ignore. I opened my laptop. Reese and I had just finished a concept for a new client, a luxury yacht, $800,000 prototype. One of our best designs yet. She'd been bugging me to post it. Let people see what you've built, she said. I'd always hesitated. But not this time. I uploaded the image, sleek, professional, bold. Me standing next to the model, arms crossed. Caption, hard work pays off. I closed the laptop and went to bed. The next morning, the notification woke me. A comment. From my mother. Call me. We need to talk. Family meeting tomorrow. I woke to pale daylight sliding through the blinds, my phone's screen silently flashing a few missed notifications. My heart sank even before I touched it. An email thread had been forwarded to me overnight. I read the subject line, Final Plans, exclude D. My pulse quickened. Inside, messages like insects scuttling in the dark, Cole suggested she's too emotional. Let's omit her. She'll make it awkward. No need to include Dahlia. I paused, muscles rigid. The betrayal wasn't hidden, it was planted. They didn't forget. They worked to erase me. I archived the thread, heart pounding, and walked to the window. Outside, the world looked the same. But nothing was the same. Growing up, at dinner, I watched my parents praise my brother. I once bragged about winning a school award. Dad said, "That's nice, but Cashin did it better." My mother muttered in the hallway, "She always makes things messy." I swallowed that humiliation, thinking it private. Now I realized, I carried those small dismissals like scars. My grandfather's voice echoed, "Don't build expectations on those who refuse to see you." I closed my eyes. The shame of believing I deserved their recognition faded, now replaced by cold clarity. Later that morning I drove to our family's private club. Cole's nameplate gleamed on the door. I tapped twice and walked in. He looked up from his phone, face polite. Why was I removed from the plan? I asked directly. He offered a weak smile. You're reading too much into it. His tone was smooth. Too smooth. You deleted me from the plan, I said. Your inbox says everything. I slid my phone across the mahogany table, the email thread displayed in bold. Cole's eyes flickered. He leaned back. I never saw that message. Don't lie to me, I whispered. You knew. He stood abruptly and pushed his chair back. The door slammed behind him. I stayed seated, chest tight, burning with indignation. Back at the studio, Reese greeted me with 2 coffees. I told her what happened. She didn't gaslight me or offer platitudes. She just nodded, slid in front of me on the conference table, and asked quietly, "Now what?" We had a client asking for a yacht interior design, a big account. My heart tasted opportunity. I said, "Let's make the design speak louder than their silence." She smiled faintly. We mocked up layouts. I insisted my name be clearly displayed in the concept renderings. Reese said, "They may call it ego, but I call it rightful claim." I felt something shift. I was no longer hiding in shadows. I was stepping into frame. Late that night I checked the yacht post on our office social page. Comments poured in, bold signature style. She's got guts. My chest swelled. Then, notification, a comment from Taryn. Nice try, but marketing won't hide character. My breath caught, a silent rebuke. She thinks she's winning. I shut off my phone, but the words rang louder than any silence. The driveway hadn't changed. Same uneven bricks, same hydrangeas too pruned to look natural. I parked, engine ticking in the late morning heat, then stepped out. My childhood home looked smaller than I remembered, but the porch boards still creaked the same way under my shoes. I knocked once. Lorraine opened the door with a rehearsed smile, lavender perfume wafting like something calculated. "Dahlia," she said, like my name was a dinner reservation she forgot making. Gareth stood just behind her, nodding like he'd been told to. Cole and Taryn waited in the living room, stiff as the portraits on the wall. The house was polished. Table wiped to a shine, family photos lined up with eerie precision. Sunlight filtered through lace curtains that smelled too much like a memory I never asked to keep. They talked weather. Neighborhood gossip. "The Johnsons are repainting," Cole offered. I nodded, but inside, something curled. They built this stage. I was the guest they never invited. Lorraine brought up Nova first. "We've been meaning to plan something. Celebrate her, maybe next week." She placed an album in front of me, carefully dusted. I opened it. Page after page, birthdays, holidays, barbecues, and not a single photo of Nova. Not even one. "I sent in a few shots," I said calmly. Taryn tilted her head. "Which one?" Her tone said everything. I turned a page, swallowed the burn behind my teeth. Was I ever worthy of being remembered? I asked, voice even. No one answered. Cole clicked his tongue. Lorraine refilled her teacup like she hadn't heard. We moved to family business, the kind they always claimed I was too sentimental to manage. Then Gareth said, "Let's show the video." A slideshow lit the screen, images flickering one after another, Cole graduating, Taryn's baby shower, their son blowing candles. Not one of Nova. Not one of me. I stood slowly. "Is this the full video?" Lorraine flinched. "Oh, there must have been a mix-up." Taryn leaned forward. "It's just a glitch, Dahlia. Don't start." I looked at each face in turn. The silence wasn't technical. It was intentional. "Did you ever delete parts of our history?" I asked Gareth directly. He didn't respond. Then Nova, from her chair in the corner, asked softly, "Why don't I exist in your family timeline?" You could hear the AC hum. Cole looked at Taryn. Lorraine closed her eyes. I didn't flinch. I reached into my bag, pulled out a USB. "This is the original file. The one before you cut it down." I plugged it in, walked to the TV. They didn't move. The video played, Nova chasing butterflies in the garden, me holding her hand, her laughter sharp and real. We were there. We'd always been there. And then, as the final frame faded, someone behind me whispered, "You shouldn't have done that, Dahlia." The dining room was too bright. Sunlight spilled across the polished mahogany table, highlighting every uncomfortable face around it. Lorraine sat at one end, back straight, pearls perfectly aligned. Gareth folded his hands like a man waiting for a verdict. Cole leaned back, pretending boredom, while Taryn traced the rim of her water glass, eyes down but smirking just enough. I sat across from them, the same seat I'd been given my whole life, close enough to hear, far enough to never belong. The slideshow incident hung between us like a ghost no one wanted to name. Lorraine cleared her throat. "We just wanted to move forward, Dahlia. No need to dwell on misunderstandings." I met her gaze. "You can't move forward if you pretend the past didn't happen." Gareth sighed. "We all make mistakes." "Some mistakes require intent," I said. My voice was calm, but it carried. Inside, something steadier than anger took hold, resolve. I wasn't there to scream. I was there to unmask. They looked away, shifting in their seats. I leaned forward. I'd like to see the slideshow file again. Lorraine's smile faltered. That's unnecessary. I think it's very necessary, I said. Because when I showed my version, it revealed what you removed. Taryn tried to laugh it off. Oh please, Dahlia. You're blowing it out of proportion. It was a simple tech error. I pulled out my phone, opened the backup folder. Then you won't mind me comparing it. Cole sat up straighter. That's enough. We're not going to turn this into some digital witch hunt. Digital? I repeated. No. This is personal. You didn't delete data. You deleted people. The tension cracked. Lorraine stood, reaching for the remote. We actually have a corrected version now, she said quickly. We can play it. I shook my head. Don't bother. But she pressed play anyway, a new version, this time with a few added photos, but still carefully edited. No laughter, no warmth, just curated moments of them. I stopped it halfway through. You can't erase what was recorded, I said quietly. Not then. Not now. The silence that followed wasn't quiet, it was suffocating. Then Nova spoke. Her voice was small, but it cut through the room like truth does. I deserve to be seen too. Lorraine froze mid-gesture. Cole's jaw tightened. Taryn looked away. Nova's little hand found mine under the table. I squeezed it, steadying myself as much as her. She's right, I said. You've been rewriting history so long, you started believing the edited version. Gareth muttered, that's not fair. Neither is pretending your granddaughter doesn't exist. I stood. The chair legs scraped the floor, loud and final. I can't stay in a house that edits memories to erase me. Lorraine's lips trembled. Dahlia, please. I lifted my hand. No. You don't get to plead innocence after decades of practice. Nova slid off her chair, still holding my hand. I reached into my bag, pulled out the disc, the same one they had doctored. I placed it gently on the table. Let this remind you what you chose to hide, I said. Cole rose, his voice tight. You're making this worse than it is. I looked at him. It already was worse. You just didn't expect me to notice. I turned and walked toward the door. Every step felt like closing a chapter. The air behind me was thick with things unsaid, guilt, denial, and the faint scent of lavender trying to mask rot. In the foyer, my phone buzzed. One new message. I have the original master file. We need to talk. Tonight. No name attached. For a second, my breath hitched. Then instinct, cold and precise, settled in. Was it a truce or a trap? The night after the confrontation, the house felt too still. The walls carried the weight of words I hadn't said. Nova sat on the floor, her crayons spread out like a small rainbow. She hummed quietly, unaware of the storm moving outside our walls. I tried to act normal, cooked dinner, answered a few work emails, but my mind stayed fixed on the message from my mother, that post is dangerous. Stop it before it overflows. Dangerous. The word rolled around in my head like a warning. For years, I'd been told my feelings were dangerous too. My honesty. My need to be seen. Maybe truth had always been their biggest threat. I opened my phone again. The yacht photo still sat at the top of my feed, so polished, so harmless. Until I saw a new message, anonymous. People are saying Nova isn't yours. Guess that explains a lot. My pulse spiked. It wasn't just a lie, it was the kind that poisons reputations, that takes root fast. Someone close had started it, I could feel their fingerprints all over it. If they can rewrite photos, I thought, they can rewrite blood. I locked the screen, put the phone face down, and stared at the ceiling. Nova crawled into my lap, holding her drawing, a stick figure family of 2, both of us smiling. "It's us," she said proudly. I managed to smile back. "That's beautiful, sweetheart." But I couldn't shake the dread. My family had finally found a way to make their silence louder than ever. A few days later, I attended a local charity event. The kind of small-town gathering where people wear kindness like perfume, thick enough to cover the rot. Reese had encouraged me to go, said it'd remind folks who I was beyond the gossip. I dressed neatly, nothing flashy. Nova wore her favorite yellow dress. We arrived early, greeting neighbors with polite nods. Some responded. Most didn't. It wasn't open hostility, it was worse. The kind of quiet avoidance that eats at your dignity. During the event, I noticed the cameras. The photographer moved in circles, capturing smiles and handshakes. Nova tugged my sleeve, whispering, "Mom, can we be in one too?" I nodded, and we posed, her arm wrapped around my waist. That night, when the photos went up online, we were gone. Cropped out like we'd never stood there. The next morning, I went straight to the photographer's studio. "Why weren't we in the pictures?" I asked, calm but firm. He blinked, startled. I don't know. I sent them to Cole for approval. Maybe it was a framing issue? I stepped closer. A framing issue? He stammered, "I'm sorry, Ms. Clark. I just did what was requested." Nova tugged at my sleeve again. "It's okay, Mom," she said softly. I wished it were. As we turned to leave, one of the event guests walked past and smiled awkwardly at Nova. "Your mom must have been busy that day, huh?" I froze mid-step. "We were there," Nova said proudly. The woman blinked, then walked away, pretending she hadn't heard. By the time we reached the parking lot, my hands were shaking. That's when I heard them, voices behind the hedge, low but sharp. "She's not part of that family anymore," one said. "You know, the ex-daughter. The one with the fake kid." The words cut clean through the humid air. I turned, stepping out from the shadow. "I'm not an ex-anything," I said. "And my daughter is real enough to hear every lie you just told." They froze, guilty faces meeting my eyes before looking away. Nobody apologized. Nobody corrected the rumor. Silence again, only this time, it wasn't mine. I got into the car, gripping the steering wheel. Nova sat beside me, watching quietly. "Why do they say mean things?" she asked. "Because sometimes people need to make someone small," I said, "so they can feel big." Her hand slipped into mine. "But you're still big," she said. Back home, I tucked her in, then sat at the kitchen table, staring at the blank space of a new post on my screen. I typed one sentence, "You can edit photos, but not the truth." It felt small, almost too small to matter, but it carried everything I couldn't say out loud. Reese called not long after. "You sure you want to poke that hornet's nest?" I sighed. If silence keeps me erased, then yes. I'm done being quiet. I hit schedule for the next morning. My heart beat fast, not from fear this time, but something sharper, resolve. Then the phone buzzed again. A message from my mother: "That post is dangerous. Stop it before it overflows." My finger hovered over the send button, the screen reflecting my face, tired, fierce, alive. The kind of face that had finally stopped asking for permission. The cursor blinked like a dare. I stepped into the study where Gareth and Lorraine waited, the hush of late afternoon pressing against the curtains. The room felt heavy with old wood and unspoken things. Portraits of ancestors stared down at me. The air smelled faintly of must and history. I braced myself. Gareth rose slowly. "Dahlia, thank you for coming." His voice wavered, as though he'd practiced this apology in the mirror. Lorraine shifted beside him, glancing at Taryn over my shoulder. Unease flickered in her eyes. "Why is our history being rewritten?" I asked, calm but firm. "Why am I erased piece by piece?" They exchanged glances. Gareth swallowed. Lorraine exhaled. After a tense beat, Lorraine spoke. "We altered Grandma's will." My heart twisted. I stumbled forward. She handed me 2 documents, one old, one new. The names swapped. My name replaced by Taryn's. Signatures that looked blurred. Smudged. Manipulated. Cole's face strained. Taryn's shoulders hunched. I pressed on, voice low, controlled. "You stole my right to legacy." Lorraine's voice cracked. "It was to protect the estate, for the son." I shook my head. "That's not protection. That's betrayal." I demanded they make it public. That they confess it out loud. Eyes stung. Gareth's jaw tightened. Nova's soft voice trembled behind me. "Why did Grandma love you more than me?" Time slowed. I turned and knelt beside her, holding her shoulder gently. "Because they saw him, not us." Lorraine gasped, eyes glistening. Cole bowed his head. Taryn looked away. Then I reached for my bag. My fingers closed around a small flash drive. I pulled it out and held it steady. I pressed play. On the screen, Nova's small voice whispered Grandma, as a toddler, chasing butterflies in a garden. Laughter and sunlight. Scenes of us together, moments they erased. The faces in that room went pale. My mother's hand trembled. Taryn tried to interject. "That's just a fragment." I cut her off. This was never a glitch. This was intent. Silence broke around us. I leaned forward. "I'm not asking, I'm telling. Tomorrow, all records will go live." Lorraine's lips quivered. Taryn's face drained of color. Gareth shifted in his seat, defeated. Their confessions hung in the air, brittle, dangerous, true. Reese picked us up just before sunset. I had one hand on Nova's shoulder, the other gripping the folder tight enough to crumple the edges. She looked up at me in the rearview mirror. "You ready?" I nodded, even though I wasn't sure what ready was supposed to feel like anymore. We pulled up to the press room 20 minutes early. The building was small, an old courthouse annex turned into a community center. Nothing fancy. But the chairs were filled, the lights were hot, and the air buzzed like a pot about to boil. Nova stuck close to my side, her silence louder than any camera shutter. Reese helped me test the audio, ran through the slide cue. I kept repeating one sentence in my head: "This is not revenge. This is truth." It steadied my breathing. Then came the message. My phone lit up, Taryn's name. Her words short and sharp, Stop this before you regret it. I didn't answer. I just looked at the screen until it went dark again. The room hushed as I stepped up. My nameplate caught the light, Dahlia Marin. I faced them, reporters, neighbors, community leaders. Some curious, some cautious, all waiting. Thank you for being here, I said. What I'm about to share isn't about payback. It's about clarity. I motioned to the screen. Reese dimmed the lights. 2 videos began to play, side by side. One was the sanitized version my family had shared, polished, selective. The other? Raw, real, mine. The crowd gasped when they saw it. Pictures of Nova vanished in one, present in the other. Footage where I was cut off mid-sentence, replaced with forced smiles. Laughter muted. This, I said, pointing to the doctored slideshow, is what they wanted you to see. And this, I turned to the truth, is what actually happened. I let the silence sit. Then I spoke again, softer. You can't erase me. I'm part of the story. The tension cracked into whispers, murmurs, truth settling like dust. But it didn't stay quiet long. Within minutes, Cole released a statement, Dahlia is being vindictive. Those files are manipulated. Taryn followed with her own version, we only wanted to protect the family from unnecessary drama. The media caught wind fast. My phone buzzed non-stop. Tweets, alerts, clickbait headlines, both sides now on fire. I stayed steady. Let me be clear, I said into the mic, these files have been legally timestamped, archived, and notarized. The evidence is not an opinion. It's a record. I pulled up email threads, receipts, property logs. Not once did I raise my voice. I didn't need to. Truth speaks in straight lines. Then came the next strike. Someone leaked a new story during the conference. Claimed I'd secretly financed one of Cole's real estate ventures years back. Accused me of sabotage. I didn't flinch. I held up a paper copy of a bank record, circled in red. This was a settlement payment, I said. Issued after Cole defaulted on his own loan. I paid the fine to avoid further damage to my grandmother's estate. I paused. Looked around the room. They tried to steal my name. My child's identity. My legacy. I held Nova's hand. Tonight, that ends. Some people clapped. Others just watched. But no one turned away. As the room emptied, I stood there alone for a second. Just breathing. The storm didn't feel like a storm anymore. Just air. Then my phone buzzed one more time. A voicemail from Gareth. His voice, soft, aged, unexpected. I'm proud of you, he said. We need to talk. I stared at the screen. Let the message play again. Then I just stood still, not ready to move, not needing to. The morning light hit the deck like gold dust. I stood by the railing, phone in hand, staring at Gareth's missed call from the night before. For a long while, I just listened to the waves slap against the hull, steady and patient, as if waiting for me to exhale. Then I called him back. He answered on the second ring. His voice was softer than I remembered, older, cracked in places it never used to be. Dahlia, he said, like the word itself was something heavy to carry. I saw what you did. I should have called sooner. There was no accusation in me anymore. Just quiet. You could've, I said. He sighed. I didn't know how to protect you, so I disappeared instead. I leaned on the rail, eyes on the horizon. I'm not calling to fix what's dead, I told him. I'm calling to plant what might still grow. For a moment, all I heard was the wind moving through the receiver. Then, softly, maybe that's enough. We agreed to meet sometime next week. No promises, no apologies rehearsed. Just truth, wherever it lands. After hanging up, I found Nova sitting cross-legged on the deck, tracing shapes on the wooden boards with a seashell. You were talking to Grandpa? She asked. I nodded. Yeah. He wants to talk. She tilted her head. Will Grandma come too? Maybe, I said. But if they do, it'll be on our terms. She grinned, sunlight catching in her eyes. Good. 'Cause I don't want sad people on happy boats. I laughed quietly. That line, so simple, so honest, cut through everything I'd carried for years. My daughter wasn't living inside my history. She was building her own. We walked along the marina after that, hand in hand. The air smelled like salt and possibility. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was walking away from something. I was walking toward it. Later that day, back on shore, I recorded one final message. I didn't set up lights or makeup or scripts. Just my phone propped on the windowsill, sunlight spilling behind me. This isn't a scandal, I said. It's a mirror. Look in it. I didn't name anyone. Didn't need to. I spent years hoping they'd come around, I continued, voice steady. Now I know, I had to come around to myself first. That line hung there, simple and true. When I uploaded it, I didn't expect much. But hours later, it spread, shared, quoted, echoed. The headline the next morning read, "She lost her parents but found herself, the woman who redefined dignity." I didn't cry. Just smiled, quietly. By evening, Nova and I were back home. She wanted to bake cookies, chocolate chip, extra salt on top. The kitchen filled with that warm, forgiving smell that makes everything feel human again. After dinner, we cleaned up together, her little hands stacking plates too high, nearly tipping them. We laughed. It wasn't about perfection. It was about presence. When she went to bed, I tucked her in and sat on the edge of her blanket. On the wall above her was the framed photo from her last birthday, just the two of us, no one missing, no one pretending. Thanks for not needing them to come anymore, she whispered, her voice half asleep. I brushed a strand of hair from her face. Thanks for teaching me what coming home means. After she drifted off, I walked down the hallway, turned off the last light, and paused by the front table. The yacht keys rested there beside a folded note from Reese, "The future's yours now. Take it slow." I smiled. Maybe for the first time, I actually believed it. As I reached for the keys, one thought stayed with me, calm and sure. Forgiveness isn't a gift we give others, it's the one we finally give ourselves.